Honks and pretty women. Boy, did we have a pretty woman at lunch today, Brian, didn't we?
We sure did.
Big shout out to you, Bridget. Thank you. A great lunch at, what's it called? The
Smokehouse.
Smokehouse on Main Street. It's the coach and Brian Cogley. Look, disclaimer. First of all, it's we're going to talk a little March Madness bracketology here, but let me give a disclaimer to everybody listening here in Southern California and KHTS. The show is called The Business of Life, and I just have to say, honestly, I cannot stand the lawyer profession, but this is the one dude that, he's a dear friend. He's a Buckeye, and his name is Brian Cogley, and he's with one of the best law firms in Southern California, Poole Shaffery. How do you say it?
Poole Shaffery.
Shaffery.
Yep.
Poole Shaffery. Anyway, welcome, Brian. So you'll be on many times. You'll be on because you are fun, man. You're the only fun attorney I've ever met in my life.
Well, I appreciate that.
In my life.
Well, that's surprising to me, but we're not all bad.
No, we're not. And you're a Buckeye, so I can't wait to football season. You and I are going to have a lot of fun. But before we get into politics, education, so the first segment, we'll call it Block A today. Also, big shout out to my producer, Justin. How are you, buddy? You okay? What's going on?
Right.
What's going on? Anything with a girlfriend? Anything? No?
Keeping it single.
All right. Call the coach.
Justin gave me a go Buckeyes at the beginning of this, I just got to say.
Well,
I have family and I lives in Columbus, Ohio.
Nobody under 40 listens to the show, but if you have a granddaughter or daughter that's looking to meet the nicest fellow in the world, he's right
Send
here.
her my way, right?
Send him your way, and you better be good looking. All right, so Brian Cogley, let's get into Oregon is going to win this whole thing. So
No.
Who do you got?
No.
Who do you got?
I got Sparty winning. I got Michigan State coming out.
I've got Michigan State and Oregon in my top two, so that's a good pick. I can't argue. I love Michigan State. Maybe the best coach team.
Tom Izzo is the greatest coach in college football right now, and I will say that as
college
a Buckeye.
basketball.
College basketball. That's what I meant, yes.
Yeah, that's what you meant. And you got Kansas. Your Final Four is Kansas, Oklahoma, Xavier, and Michigan State. That's probably everybody's Final Four. So.
Well, I hope so. I mean, Xavier is at least representing the state of Ohio, and go Musketeers. Michigan State's got our Big Ten love in the place. Kansas, gosh, you can't argue with that. Perry Ellis is a stud up front, and I think they're the best team in the nation right now.
They're good.
And I got Oklahoma.
Your one big mistake is
Buddy
you've
Hield.
got Buffalo beating Miami. That's a stupid mistake. I'm giving you a second chance to change your mind
Do
before
not
the hour's
underestimate the Bulls. Do not underestimate them.
That's enough. Let's get in. The second half, we're going to get into your life as you went to Saugus High School, Centurions.
That's right.
And then you barely got out of high school, and then somehow you become a very famous lawyer and litigator.
I prefer infamous, but sure.
And so we'll talk about your life, because I'm curious, why would anybody want to go into law? So we'll check that out in a second. But let's talk about what's going on in America right now in politics. So today is Super Tuesday 2. Ohio's at stake, Florida's at stake, North Carolina's at stake. I'm a conservative just like you are. That's why I like you.
That's right.
But I'm so disenfranchised right now from Donald Trump. I mean, truly, he's a liar.
Agreed.
I mean, truly, he's a liar. I get everything about him, but, I mean, is he this stupid? And, somebody like that who's an ego mega maniac won't even listen to his advisors.
Right.
And he could, if he was different, if his approach was different, if he was more statesman-like, if he could somehow catch himself, a guy like this who's a natural leader could really do something. We need another Reagan.
I totally agree. The difference, I think, between Trump and a Reagan is the fact that Trump does not listen to the people around him. Trump thinks that everything that comes into his mind is the correct idea, and he's not willing to backtrack on it. Reagan was at least able to step back, listen to his advisors, and make changes where it was important and where it was necessary.
Well, he listened to Nancy. Here's the thing: is Trump's got this gorgeous wife, and she's saying, "Hey, change your profile, change your approach," and he's not even listening to his wife or gorgeous daughter.
Well, the problem is we've got a large majority of Americans right now, at least on the right side, who you said disenfranchised. Yes, I'm disenfranchised with the party right now also, but everybody that is out there voting for Trump is disenfranchised with the entire system, not just the Republican Party. So I'm afraid that those folks who are so upset with politics or, the status quo or business as usual, they're willing to throw their support behind somebody who really is not a statesman in his own right, doesn't have any political history or proof of any kind of pattern or practice of what he believes in, so it's very difficult for us to get a gauge on him.
Yeah, well said. And I want to talk about that in a minute, but I want to give a shout out to your gorgeous wife, Lindsay. God, what a beautiful face she has.
Well, thank you.
So hopefully she's listening. And then we have Ashlyn. You've got 3 beautiful daughters.
Ashlyn's my oldest, Addison's my middle daughter, and Amelia is my little girl. So
God, what
hello,
a great
girls.
name, Amelia. What a great little name. Is anything to do with Amelia Earhart?
Not at all.
You
actually.
must get asked that, right?
I
That's
do.
not an original question.
I do. No, actually, ironically, the third was going to be named Scarlett, with her middle name ANN-GREY. That would be Scarlett and Gray Kegley. Those are the school colors for the Ohio State University.
Oh
Go
my
Buckeyes!
God. Addison, big shout out to you. Ashlyn, big shout out to you, and your last daughter,
Amelia.
How old is Amelia?
Amelia's getting ready to turn 9, believe it or not.
Wow.
Going on about 37.
What a beautiful family. All right, big shout out. So back to, America, whether you're on the left or you're right, we're all disgusted. We are disgusted with the federal government. I'm a little bit.
Not much better.
The state's not much better. I will say this: the city of Santa Clarita, for the most part, does a great job. I want to give a shout out to the city. I just have one little angst, and we'll talk about that in a minute with the potholes. But the federal government. Well, let me go back. I'm an older guy. You're a younger guy. So let me have your take. So we send in our type of democracy, we send representatives to Washington. And their job, especially Congress people, we have locally Steve Knight. So the job of the local congressman is to represent his district, listen to his patrons, and represent us in Washington. They get to Washington, and I belong to a country club, a couple of them, and I get it. When you get into a club setting, you lose all consciousness of what's going on in the outside world. And I think this is what's happening in Washington. We have 435 people in Congress, 100 in the United States Senate, and these people absolutely have no clue as to what's going on in the real world. Yes or no?
I totally agree with you. And, whether you believe in the quote-unquote establishment or not, I do agree with you that once people typically get into Congress and they're there for an extended period of time, problems arise because they lose touch with what is actually happening out on Main Street. I will, to his credit, say that Congressman Steve Knight has maintained a great touch with this community and the Antelope Valley to maintain that relationship. But again, he's a freshman congressman at this point. I hope that he maintains that policy and he maintains that strength of touch. I've joked about this for years. I believe that in order to be a public servant at either the state level or at the federal level, every representative should have had to have signed the front of a paycheck as opposed to just the back of a paycheck, meaning that they had to have some business experience, know what it's like to actually be in the trenches.
You know what I would do, honestly? I would send waitresses from Denny's, or all waitresses. Seriously, I can't be more serious. I would send all waitresses to Washington. I would vote out everybody. Literally, waitresses know how to fix messes.
Well,
And we have a mess in Washington. But let me get back to an example. Bureaucracy and government not understanding business. So we have this great lunch at the Southern Smoke, which is on Main Street. I mean, great lunch. He can't put up a sign.
Yeah.
You can't find Southern Smoke on Main Street. And the local government, Santa Clarita, the city council, or the bureaucrats here don't want to sign up. It makes no sense. How can you not help a business grow? Especially they're trying to get downtown Newhall to get re-energized again.
That's right.
Re-something.
Well, and we had a great conversation with the owner today, Sam.
Right.
The interesting thing is the city of Santa Clarita is one of the most business-friendly cities in the entire state of California, and they're constantly recognized for that achievement. Regulation is there to basically protect a bigger scheme of things, but then there
How about
needs
some
to be
common sense, Brian?
Exactly. Common sense needs to play in. We were talking to Sam today about the sign that he was asked to take down, and certainly didn't strike either one of us as being unreasonable. But, quote unquote, the rules are the rules. So
I mean, it wasn't a neon sign. It wasn't a flashing
no.
sign. You can't find the restaurant without
From the street.
proper signage.
Right.
So let's you and I work together to see if we can help this business
Looking
called
forward to
Southern Smoke on Main Street. My very special co-host, he'll be on the show many, many times, Brian Kegley with the law firm of Poole and Shaftry. Did I say it right?
You got it. Right on.
And you're the only attorney I've ever liked in my life. I don't even like your partners. I don't even know them, but I like you because you're real. You're a real guy. I mean, a lot of attorneys they're not real. They put on an act or a show, but I can talk to you like a real person.
That. Well, I'd like to think I am a real person.
So, in our back to politics. So, in our disgust of what's going on in the federal government, the state government, people check out. You and I aren't checking out. Real leaders don't check out, and we don't want you to check out. We need to get people back involved, and this is what Trump's doing.
Yes. Well, and that's the one great thing I think that comes out of a Trump candidacy is that people are actually interested. More than just the mainstream media, people are actually picking up newspapers. People are looking at things that are out there on blogs and on the internet to make sure that they are educated so that they understand the issues. I think we may end up with one of the most educated electorates on this campaign because of the controversy. The question is, what is going to be the result come November?
I don't know. It's interesting. If he does well tonight, we're going to have a contested convention probably because Cruz is going to pick up some more delegates.
I think that's where we're heading anyway,
but
even if he does well.
It's interesting. You just mentioned the word education. Do you mind if I go off on a little side track here on a little different road? In my heart of hearts, I really believe that our educational system is so broken, so dysfunctional, that we have in the minority community such high unemployment. I know, because I hire people, I hire and interview kids out of college. Do you know they can't even interview properly? They can't even look you in the eye. They can't shake your hand properly. And then when you ask them how productive are they going to be or how are they going to be productive, they can't answer. So what I'm saying is that let me generalize, and I want to apologize to our audience here in Southern California. You're listening to the Business of Life, Coach Ron Tunick, and my wonderful co-host Brian Kegley, who is a Buckeye from Ohio. But our system is so dysfunctional because we're still educating kids, Brian, like we did in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. Kids are not coming out of school with skills. Yes, if you want to be a doctor, I get it. And the second segment, we're going to talk about your life, how you went from Saugus High to become a very successful lawyer and partner in a prestigious firm. But for right now, my angst is with the administrators, the people that run these school districts, the school boards. Come on, let's bring some practicality into the curriculum.
Well, and Coach Ron, you touched on it in politics where you said that common sense is missing. I think in a lot of ways that's the problem in education as well. You know, my brother's a teacher up here in the local high school district and loves what he does, and he is gifted beyond words. But he tells me all the time about the fact that he is hamstrung, that there are things that he is not allowed to do. They're maintaining this inside the box thinking instead of outside the box thinking. Listen, not everybody is geared to be a doctor or a lawyer or a professional. We need well-trained mechanics, skilled tradesmen, mechanics that are able to
people that'll fix air conditioners.
Exactly.
And a cheap plug for our friend at Adage IT that fixes computers.
Absolutely.
Big shout out to you,
Jeremy Steppen.
Yeah, baby.
Well, in any event, that's what we need to be getting back to. That's where we need to focus our efforts and abilities. And the other issue is this. The federal government has tried to step in multiple times and has tried to implement Common Core curriculum, whatever you want to call it. This is an issue that should be handled on a state-by-state basis because every state has a better idea of what they need than the federal government does. And if we were able to pull this together and make it happen, listen, California, we have every resource in the world. There is no reason we are not number one, number two, number three in the nation in our education system. And yet we consistently rank in the bottom because of wasted resources, because of a lack of common sense.
Amen. That's Brian Kegley. If you like him, he's going to be often. You can come in every week if you want and be my co-host.
Well, I've got billable hours to hit every now and again. So.
All right. So you touched on all the high points. Common Core is ridiculous. I try to help my granddaughter with her math, and I'm pretty good in math. I mean, I'm pretty good in numbers. I'm pretty good in algebra. Are you kidding me? Have you ever?
Yes.
Your daughter and my granddaughter are the same age. Have you ever tried to sit down and help her with her math?
I have. I was very good at algebra when I was in high school.
Are you kidding me?
And I'm looking at algebra now, and I'm going, wait a minute, this isn't what I remember at all.
It's ridiculous. And here's another thing. In your entire life, if we put our years together, we'd be 300 years old. Okay, so who uses algebra other than an engineer, maybe a pharmacist, or 98% of the population does not use algebra.
I probably would have to disagree with you on that one, Coach, because of the fact that I hated math. I went into law because I thought I'd never have to use math, and on a daily basis. I mean, just this morning I was going through something, and I actually had to use an algebraic equation to figure out. I swear.
Geometry, that's what you use. You use geometry. Justin, grab a microphone here. You're a young man. You're barely 14 years old.
What's
Do you ever use algebra in your life?
Nope.
Nope. And you never will.
Sadly, no.
You never will. You never
Took me a
will.
while to get through that class, too.
You better fill out your March Madness thing.
Trying.
Huh?
I'm thinking
All right,
about
the
it.
What do
show.
you need algebra for? You need algebra for your bracket.
The show is called The Business of Life, and I'm the coach, Coach Tunick. You can go to CoachTunick.com. Brian, do you have a website? Does Poole and Shaffrey have a website?
Of course we do. It's www.poolshaffrey, POOLESHAFFERY.com.
Listen, if you need an attorney, look, this is no commercial. I'm just telling you, this dude is really good at. You're a business lawyer, right?
business
so you're
and
not
employment
an
law.
ambulance chaser.
Not at all. I only defend businesses.
Do you have
and-
ambulance chasers in your practice?
Absolutely not. That's not what our firm is based upon.
That's where the money is, dog, though.
Well,
right?
I refer all those cases out.
The show is called The Business Life. So honored that you would take your time to listen. I get your emails and texts every week, so I know you like the show. So this first segment, we're talking about, well, I got off on a tangent on education. Let me finish this. My son's a teacher in Oregon, Grants Pass. He says, Dad, I babysit. He's got 42 kids in a class. That's enough. How many kids in your brother's class?
He's got 38.
90?
He's got 38.
Too many kids.
Yeah.
Too many kids. So I would say fire 90% of the administrators. Get the money. First of all, we need better educated teachers in areas where they'll develop skills, right?
Right.
Let's
math, science.
I agree
all
with
the
you
stuff.
100%, Brian. We need to get craft. Let's learn how to build a house. Let's learn how to fix a computer. And let's start in junior high. Let's not wait to high school.
I think you even have to start in elementary school.
There you go.
My girls go to Emblem Academy here in town, where the STEM, or actually it's STEAM, ethics, science, technology, engineering, entrepreneurship, and math is the focus.
Love it. And math, and I'm pretty good at it. It is the most important subject. If you're listening to my voice, you're sitting in your car waiting to pick up your kids, let me tell you what, math is the future.
No question.
I don't care what occupation, it is the future, and you've got to pay attention. Help your kids. If you can't get help, call me. I'll tutor your kids for $500 an hour. No problem.
It's a good deal, Coach.
No problem. All right, back to politics for a second. On the Democratic side, we got a minute here left. On the Democratic side, here's what's interesting. Two people, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, have the highest dislikable. We just don't like these people. And yet here are the two people that are probably going to represent most. I don't get it. What the heck has happened? We can't get. I would run you for U.S. Senator in a heartbeat, but you're not going to. You're never going to run for political office or take off your clothes or take the abuse.
No.
So we have these egomaniacs that become our leaders.
Right. Well, and unfortunately, when you've got a fractured country that's looking at who's going to do the most for me, as opposed to who's going to do the best for the country,
Right on.
You have a fundamental problem.
Right on. Perfectly said. That's how, yeah. But here's the thing is the apathy has to stop. Otherwise, your kids and my grandkids are done.
I agree with you. I agree. And it takes people who actually pay attention, who are listening to the facts, not the opinions, not the rhetoric, not the BS, but the facts.
And here's what people ask me all the time, Justin. I know you're not paying attention because you're doing your brackets. People say all the time, Coach, what do you mean we're done? Here's what I mean. Your taxes will go up maybe to 50, 60%, 70% of your income, Justin. And the potholes will never get fixed because you're not going to have cities and states will not have the money to do and provide the services that we so desperately need. That's when I say the country will be broken if we don't get over this apathetic, you know.
Really hate potholes, don't you?
I really do. Yeah. And you have a brand new car. You're going to hate them too. All right, we're going to come right back on the show we call The Business Life. Then we're going to pull back the curtain on this young man who went to a public high school barely got out of high school, and became really one of the top attorneys in Southern California. How did he do it? Where did the passion come from? I want to find out how a guy has achieved so much success, because, you know, you may be in the car on your way home from school, you may be listening at home, and you're struggling a little bit, you're not sure about what you want to do in life, or you're stuck. And here's a young man who's not stuck, who's achieving a lot, and has really a wonderful life. We'll be right back on the show we call The Business Life. I'm your coach, Coach Tunick. Go to CoachTunick.com. Hire me. I'm only at $500 an hour. If you can't hire me, that's your tough luck. We'll be right back.